I'm with Gary Lichtenstein, and he has a wonderful, wonderful exhibit here. And he's going to tell us how he started, why he started, and what he's up to. Thank you so much, Gary.
We've been publishing limited edition silk screens with artists from all over the world. We're here at Art New York representing Bob Gruen, who's a rock and roll photographer, and Jason Newsted, who is a painter who's also been a bass player with Metallica. It's a charity benefit to raise funds for the
Harry J. Cohen
Foundation. Behind us is one of the silk screens that I worked on with Bob Gruen. He'll be here tomorrow. We'll catch up on things. We're located in Jersey City. We have a studio there where we primarily collaborate with artists. We are to artists what a recording studio would be to a musician.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
And so all the work that we're here with, half of the proceeds go to the foundation, but all of which are collaborative projects, whether it was the John Lennon or the Debra Harry, the Mick Jagger pieces in the other booth with Jason.
Very cool. You have beautiful, beautiful things. Let me just ask you, what exactly is a silkscreen?
Silkscreen is a print. It's a print process. Goes back a long time. Popular in the '60s with the pop artists. Warhol, Indiana, Rosenquist, all did a lot of silk screens. But I've been doing it now my whole life, 45 years.
Yeah, you're an artist yourself. That's how you got interested.
Got interested in silk screen, couldn't stop, but love the art of collaboration. Love the collaboration. You know, artists generally don't have a place to go besides their own studio. They're painting, they're alone. So we bring them into the studio and collaborate.
And you let everybody share in the beauty of it, right? Yeah. And you bring everybody together. Look how many people are here enjoying everything that you're displaying. It's wonderful. Do you have a website?
Yes, the website is gle@mana.com.
Thank you so much. I am with Nick Korniloff, and he is very busy today because he is the founder of this wonderful art fair. Nick, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with me.
Oh, thank you for coming and visit.
Nick has a very wonderful foundation. Unfortunately, it was founded because of the loss of his stepson. But Nick is going to tell us about it and how we can help.
Well, thank you. Yes, we founded our son's foundation, the Perry J. Cohen Foundation, in 2015. Unfortunately, our son was lost at sea in the summer of 2015, and we decided to honor his life by creating a foundation and a legacy in his name that was reflective of the things that he was passionate about and what he loved as a young boy. The foundation has 4 pillars. The first is to support the arts. Perry, his name is Perry J. Cohen. It's called the Perry J. Cohen Foundation. Perry loved the arts. He grew up in the art fair environment. He met many artists, loved to do art himself with his sisters, and he was a big fan of what we did. We own a bunch of international contemporary art fairs, one being Art Miami, our most prestigious, and now here Art New York and in the Hamptons. The other pillar is supporting the environment, marine life, wildlife, the preservation and education of that. Perry was not a kid who laid on the couch and played video games. He got out there, he participated, he loved his animals, he loved nature. He was very active in that genre of his life, so we wanted to support that. The third is teenage entrepreneurship. He was a little businessman and always had a plan and always had something going on, whether it was his little car wash business that he started, and he had lots of repeat clients. He was a great little businessman. He was able to utilize all of our soaps and tire shines at zero cost. He ran a very high margin, so we decided that it would be important to give back to help younger kids start their own business, teenagers specifically, and we've partnered even with Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank to raise funds and do that. And then the last is an obvious one, which is boating safety education, because whether you're an adult or a teenager, you can never know enough about being on the water, and that's and planning and preparing, and that's another main pillar of the foundation.
So now, a part of the proceeds of some of what is bought and sold today, right, goes towards your foundation, am I right?
Right, so we have a wonderful exhibition here that is hosted and presented by the Gary Lichtenstein Edition Gallery. And Gary has brought to us Bob Gruen, a rock and roll photographer who is John Lennon's personal photographer for many years. All the great names in rock and roll Bob has photographed. Bob's a personal friend of ours. We've known him for years, and he's been kind enough to put up his work with Gary's gallery, and 50% of the proceeds will be donated by the Gary Lichtenstein Gallery to the Perry J. Cohen Foundation. And then we have this wonderful introduction of Jason Newsted, who is a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Grammy winner himself, who's been an active visual artist also for the last 12 or 13 years. He's the former lead bassist of Metallica, amazing recording artist, a lyricist. He does photography, but his painting is something that really captured my energy when I met Jason. And he also is being presented by Gary here today with 3 different types of work that really are basically a retrospective of Jason's ability as a visual artist, and once again donating 50% of the proceeds to the Perry J. Cohen Foundation. So we've been very fortunate. The art world has supported our cause, and our logo has been created by world-renowned street artist Shepard Fairey, who many people know, who did the Obama Hope poster, who is very active in many different avenues of humanitarian causes, and Shepard is a friend of ours, and he created this. The money that we're raising is going to not only just those 4 pillars that we talked about, but a very specific project to build the Perry J. Cohen Wetlands Laboratory at Jupiter High School, where Perry was going to participate in this advanced placement class for the environment and marine studies. And so the money is going to fund that laboratory that will educate thousands of children for many years to come.
That's so much. You're doing so many positive things. It's really terrific of you. Now, what events do you have that are coming up next?
Well, at first I would say that, we don't really have a lot of choice. We're trying to take this mess and make a positive message and do something positive about it. It's been an extremely difficult time for all of us.
Yes.
Wife.
It's so new. It's not even 2 years.
It's not only 2 years, but the circumstances are very challenging. Perry and his friend, neither were ever found. So
the friend wasn't found either?
So it's just, both boys went missing. So the reality of the situation is, for us, is the only way to carry on is to not let this go unforgotten and do something positive with his legacy, and really more importantly what he would want, things that he cared about. And it's very difficult to keep a 14-year-old boy's legacy alive, but we've gotten tremendous support. I mean, today we had John Bon Jovi come by the stand and give his support and take a picture with Bob Gruen's photo of him in Moscow. And John has been somebody who has frequented our fairs and have taken a liking to the messaging around what Perry's Foundation stands for. So we're very thankful. We don't take any of that for granted, especially the thousands and thousands of people that contributed $5-10 to the foundation. Every dollar means something for what we're doing. Exactly.
Yeah. And I think it's important for you to get the word out, because it is so new. I know it's painful, but this foundation can really grow, and people want to be supportive of a foundation like yours that has so many different facets.
Yeah.
I mean, if someone is into marine life, etc., they say, hey, you know what, I connect with that. If someone likes art, they can connect with that. So there are different things to attract people to help you further your cause.
Well, thank you. Our that's the idea, is to have enough pillars to pivot on that really engage different audiences, different groups. We have great social media around the foundation. We have many personalities, powers of business, artists, and regular people who generally just send in their support, and we like to share that with our following. Our next biggest event will be October 19th. Tommy Hilfiger, who's a supporter of Perry's Foundation, owns the Raleigh Hotel, and he's been generous enough to give that venue to the foundation to use for one night, to do Flying with the Stars, which will be a cocktail reception for 350 people, and then a sit-down dinner for 225, which will be catered to by 4 Michelin chefs that are flown in from Italy, and there'll be a live art auction.
You know how to do it big.
Well, that's important to us. I mean, it's very important that we do it in a way that can fund the projects that we're involved in. Not only do we have Perry's Wetlands Laboratory that we're building, but there is continuing education after high school. We've opened an endowment fund at the University of Miami's Rosenthal School of Marine Science and Atmospheric Science, which will provide collegiate education after that high school experience. So, for us, this is going to be a lifetime commitment, and so it's something that my wife and our daughters are extremely passionate about, and that's not letting people forget about Perry, but really aligning him with those important causes that many of us care about, and not letting his memory just fade away.
Yeah. And allowing his loss to be a gain for someone else out of the pureness of your heart.
That's correct.
And out of just what is the right thing to do in a circumstance like this. What would you do? And you're doing the right thing, doing good things, keeping his memory alive. And I'm sure that he's watching with you.
We're thankful for everybody who's been with us since day one of this tragedy and who continues to support us. And that support is not just monetarily. There are many letters we receive and phone calls and people that just truly care about us as families, and the loss of our boys. So we're very thankful.
It's the whole picture.
Absolutely.
Is there a website where somebody can find out more?
There's a lot of information available at www.pjcf.org, and you should visit our Facebook and Instagram, the Perry J. Cohen Foundation on Facebook and at Perry J. Cohen Foundation on Instagram, and you'll see a lot of fun people that are engaged and a lot of different things that we're doing to keep his legacy alive and his memory.
Look who I'm with now, all you Metallica fans. Jason Newsted, the bassist. But he has something that he's doing that you may not know about. Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for having me. Good day today.
Yeah. Opening day at Art New York. Now, Jason is an artist. Did you always have that in you?
Yes, I think so. I started very early with, I was raised on a farm, right? So we had 4-H programs to teach us art and music and stuff like that. So that's where I started out. They taught me how to mix colors and all that way back then. So that's where I got bit with it, Okay. But then once I got into the music, everything else took a back seat. Everything else took a back seat. For about 30 years, I just concentrated on the music and took it around the world, 5 times and whatever. We played about 50 countries, and did all that thing. And then when I got done with that, about 2001 with Metallica, went on to some other bands, played some interesting other, Tina Turner and a lot of other cool kind of music through my years there, and started painting again. Picked it back up after all those years. In 2006 or so, I started again. So it was kind of out of a necessity thing that I had some shoulder surgeries, a right and a left, and back to the right again. So I was immobilized like this. So I learned to use both my hands the same. So now all of my pictures are done with both hands. The text is done with my left hand, and the painting is done with my right.
What medium is that? Because it's textural, right?
Yes, these are acrylic and mixed media, but the ones that we're looking at across the way here, and what I call the tapestries, are actually acrylic with oil stick over the top of them. And so all of those are done simultaneously, ambidextrously. So I write backwards, forwards with 2 hands at the same time. 16 layers on those right there. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And it actually says, it starts out with a real sentence or a lyric line from the song. The purple one over here is a Jim Croce song. There never seems to be enough time to do the things you want to do once you find them. That's like from Time in the Bottle from Jim Croce back in the day. So that says that, 300 times on that purple one right there.
Yeah. So can we go over there and we're going to stand in front of them. We're going to take a picture of that, and we're going to talk in front of that. So, Jason, this is the painting you were telling me about, but would you actually call it a painting because it's so many layers and it's a texture? What is it? Is that appropriate painting?
I still call it a picture. I call them all pictures. they're pictures. They are.
That's
pictures.
The farm boy in you.
There must be. Yeah.
So how many layers did you say this is?
So it's 32 different colors, 16 layers. So it's 16 times 2. So I always have one separate color in each hand like this. I do a layer, the whole layer, backwards, forwards, spin the canvas 1/4, and then 2 more colors, back and forward, and do that 16 times around, so it equals 32 layers ultimately.
Wow.
And then I scratch in with pencil and other kind of scraping devices the same sentence, the Jim Croce sentence, over and over and over again. And I take pictures of this each stage. So each of these pictures has photographs showing the sentence when you can read it, and then 4 layers later when you no longer can read it, until it gets to these layers when it's just gone. So, but it's all in there.
Now, you have, this is a lavender purple theme.
Yeah.
Now, the next one is blue. Is that a different song?
It's actually a different poem. That's my own poem, but I can't really. I'll share that with whoever buys it.
Okay, so Jason, this is similar to your purple one, and this is a blue picture. And you say that there's something written in here as well.
There's always something written, each one over and over and over again, a poem or lyric from a song or just or an idea or something like that. Some of them I'm going to keep secret until the person buys it, and then I'll tell them what is that point. And I've also done some personalized ones where I put their family name in their son's name or something like that, and to give it to the family. So and I show them, and they can if they let their mind go with it, let yourself immerse in this, you can see the words are in there. But something else I need to add. So I paint in basically 4 different locations. I paint in California, I paint in Montana, I paint in Michigan, I paint in Florida. So these pictures are from Florida, and they have Florida beach sand mixed into the acrylic layers. So I always, whatever ground is underneath my feet, I mix into the acrylic. So it's like the essence of what's going on. So when they do the DNA on this someday, they'll find that this is Jupiter beach sand.
They'll never figure it out. You better tell them.
Yeah, right. So Jupiter Island is where we live in Florida, and this is Jupiter Island beach sand underneath this with the acrylic mixed with the oil stick on top of it, saying this same sentence over and over from a poem that nobody's going to know until they decide to buy this thing.
You like to keep people in suspense, don't you?
I think that mystique is very powerful. Yeah.
It's the creative side of him.
That's right.
Okay, so now Jason, you were telling me that this is the work that you were doing several years ago, right? So now it's a different medium, right?
That's true. This is acrylic and mixed media, a lot of markers and pencils and things like that, so not as much paint or paintbrush, and certainly no oil in this one. So different than the tapestries by quite a ways. This stuff was in 2006. I was on a show, a CBS television show called Supernova, Rockstar Supernova, and so they put me up in Silver Lake, down there by LA for a few months. And I built this room into a studio, and I started painting all these big pictures.
These are big compared to that, like 2-3 times as big.
Like 5 feet by 6 feet or something
you
here.
need a big room.
Yeah, but actually it was a really, really small room, the smallest room that I have painted in, and I made the biggest pictures I've ever made in the smallest room I've ever been in. So I don't know why, but it just happened that way. And so these things were they always have a story underneath it. You'll see, like when I do text with left hand, painting with right hand, and they always have poems or lists or stories from kind of, whatever happens to be. It's
not only do you get artwork, you get poetry.
You get
poetry in motion.
And you have to take time. I like people to be able to live with these and be interested and then discover something the next day or the next month or the next year, what it actually says. I'm not going to sit here and explain it to somebody. I want them to be able to figure it out and have them
let them discover it. Yeah, it's a quest of discovery.
It is, and the layers of not just the image that can be created, but also within the text, it can get deeper and deeper and deeper.
Do you have a website?
I just go by the Lichtenstein edition. Gary Lichtenstein edition is who's handling this stuff now. Okay. I don't do social media stuff really, and so I just try to keep it, a little bit more instinctual and kind of close to
more on the creative side. Let other people handle the business end.
That's right. Yep.
Thank you so much. Beautiful work.
Thank you very much. See you.
I'm with Rhonda Long-Sharp now, and she has 2 galleries. One is in Manhattan and one is in Indianapolis. This painting behind me caught my eye because it has to do with music. Rhonda, thank you so much for taking me on a little tour of what you have here today and what you have in your galleries, right?
Thank you so much.
So tell me about this painting that we see behind us.
The artist is David Spiller. He is from the United Kingdom. His studio is in London in the area called Elephant and Castle. Okay. He is 75 years old this year. He paints on the floor, on his knees, listening to his boombox, which literally has cassette tapes in it from the old days. The paintings look a little random, but he actually does study drawings, and then he listens to his music, and you get something as amazing as this.
Yeah.
It's sewn as well, and he sews it himself at 75 years old.
That's amazing. Now it says, "It's only love and that is all," which is, of course, a phrase from the Beatles song. Is that that's not Norwegian Wood. I think that's the name of the song. I could sing it for you, but I won't.
Well, please do.
It's only love and that is all.
Perfect.
Rhonda, tell me about this next work.
The work is by Robert Indiana. For those of you in Manhattan, you probably have seen his giant sculptures of love and hope across the city. He had a retrospective at the Whitney, I believe it was 2 years ago, and was born about 45 minutes from our Indianapolis gallery. This work is called Star of Hope. The image of the hope was inspired by Barack Obama's book, The Audacity of Hope.
Beautiful colors. I love the purple with the silver and the blue. Love those colors.
He's a master, absolutely a master.
Okay, this next one I really like because it says live the dream. And isn't that what we all want to do, right? Live our dream. Tell me the history of this because it also has an eagle on the top.
It does. This is a one-of-a-kind work by the late Chris Bracey. Chris learned neon at the knee of his father, who did all the girls, girls, girls signs in Soho in London. Chris sadly passed away just a few years ago. This work comes from his estate. It was one of his precious works. He only did one, and this is Live the Dream.
So, Rhonda, tell me about this piece.
This Buddha is made by artist Matisse Atash. It has 24,000 Swarovski crystals in it. Each one is hand-placed. The artist, Matisse Atash, was born in Germany where she studied economics, and now she's an artist in America. She created this one, which is a tribute to Andy Warhol. I don't know if you can see the one behind, which is a tribute to Roy Lichtenstein, and one that follows, which is a tribute to Keith Haring. I'm Rhonda Long-Sharp. We have two galleries, one in Midtown Manhattan at 24 West 57th and one in Indianapolis, Indiana at the corner of Washington and Illinois. Our website is www.longsharpgallery.com.
Hi, I'm Andrea Bletzinger. I'm from Galerie von Braun Behrens. I'm not the artist of this artwork, but I'm working for the gallery, yeah. And just trying to explain you what this is all about. Marck is an artist. His artworks are about feeling uncomfortable with being isolated.
Breaking the boundaries, yeah, with this work. I love it.
I am with Steve from the Andrea Schwartz Gallery in San Francisco, and I was gravitated to this wonderful picture of Rock Hudson, but it's not a picture like you would think. It isn't actually a painting. It's not done with paints or acrylics, and Steve is going to explain how the artist did this and what the name of the artist is. Thank you, Steve, for taking a minute to talk to me.
Absolutely. The artist's name is Peter Kuhm, and Peter's been working with this medium for a while, and what they are is they're actually paint chips, just like you and I would go down to a Home Depot and pick a paint chip up to decide what color we're painting a wall. He then hand punches the paint chips, and they're all broken down basically by tone. So if you look at the piece, it's actually all done by tone. And if you imagine a blue has everything from a very light blue to a very dark blue. And so as he puts the piece together, it's not so much about the color, it's all about the tone. So it has a rainbow effect when you see it.
Yeah.
Now, they're all put on an angle, so what you're really seeing when you see the piece from the head on is the reflection of the color on the back side of the chip that's next to it. But if you walk around it, you can then see it on the positive, and then if you walk to the other side, it almost becomes more of a grayscale.
Okay, this is so interesting, and I don't know if it has a name, but from the side, as you told me, it's made of stainless steel, but when you look from the front, it's almost like an opaque glass. Do you know, is there a name for that technique?
It's not really a name for the technique. I refer to it really as a vanishing sculpture, but it's not unlike the same phenomenon you would see if you were driving down a road and a vineyard was there. And as the vineyard stakes line up and you see between them, it has less density, and then when you're seeing them from the side, it has a fuller density.
Right.
And in this particular case, this piece is called Female Sentinel, and the artist actually is Julian Voss Andre. He's German, and he was a physicist for many years, but he also was always a painter as a young child. So after years of being a physicist, he really wanted to get back into being an artist. Yeah. So he started working with sculpture. This is one style that he does, and again, these are comprised of a stainless steel material. They can definitely go outside. Okay, the artist we have here is Guger Petter, and Guger works in a medium of newspaper. She actually rolls the newspaper and weaves it on a traditional loom, using the pigments that are in the newspaper to actually comprise the image. So there's very little painting that's been done. The only colors that she adds back in is occasionally a little black or white because the contrast will fade over time. The piece here is entitled A Woman Portrait.